Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Evans. I want to believe that everyone can hear me. Okay, good morning. My name is Similanyo Sunday, and thank you for joining us this morning on IITA TV's Breakfast Show. Hello, IITA. This morning's program is dedicated to the celebration of IITA's Management Staff Association Week. And we're having a panel of 4 that will be exploring the way out of economic downturn. I want to believe we have all of the panelists joining us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Pelemo. Good morning, sir. Okay, do we have all the panelists with us this morning? Okay, so quickly, we would like to start with the introduction of the panelists. Can the panelists please introduce themselves, their names and their titles, and what the unit they work with? Evans, can you please unmute the panelists?
Okay.
Okay. Are they unmuted now?
Okay. So, yes.
Okay. So can we introduce ourselves, please? Thank you for joining us on IITA TV this morning.
You're most welcome.
I will go first. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Michael Christopher. I work in the Treasury Unit of the Finance Directorate as the head of the Treasury Unit. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. It's a pleasure having you join us.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Pelemo Luboyega, success of the YAM Improvement Program, IITA. I'm glad to be on this platform this morning, contributing my quota to enriching the knowledge of our viewers on how they can manage the economic downturn that is most prevalent in our system in the most recent time. Thank you for having me aboard. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Please, Mrs. Okay, go ahead, ma'am. We can't hear Mrs. Okay, so can Mr. Fagbero please go ahead and introduce himself? We can't see your face and you're muted, Mr. Fagbero.
Wow. Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. We can't see your face.
My face? Oh, that's me. Can you see me now?
Can see you now. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. I'm Rashid Fagbero. I work in the office of the DDG Corporate Services as a special assistant.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Mrs. Lade, okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Manager Talent Management and Engagement in the People and Culture Unit of ITA. It's great to be here to join our colleagues in celebrating the MSA Week 2024 in a grand way. And this is a good way to begin. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. We're on LOITA, ITA TV's breakfast show. And so we'll be talking about how people can navigate the economic downturn. We all know how it is right now with the economy in Nigeria and even across the globe. So people are looking for ways to navigate this terrain, to navigate this economic situation. And I'm hoping that at the end of this program, a lot of people will have something to take home to help them with the situation in the country. So I want to ask my very first question. I'm putting my first question to Mr. Fagbenro. Based on your experience and expertise, how would you define economic downturn? It's a two-faced question. And what are the impacts that you think are affecting people?
Firstly, let me say like we are in an unprecedented times in the history of the country. And it's a time of widespread economic disruption caused by triggers that will be one or several, depending on the decision of the country. For us in Nigeria, the trigger for us has been the floating of the exchange rate and then the regulation of the fuel price in the country. This has triggered what economic will call a state of disequilibrium. What I mean is that in a state of disequilibrium, new price level will have to be established for almost everything in the society. Like how much will I pay my hairdresser? How much will I pay my vulcanizer? All those things will be affected in a disequilibrium. New prices are being established, so there's going to bound to be the type of crisis we are currently experiencing. Now, this has impact on people. Because of the disruption caused, companies who have a lot of domestic debt, local companies, I mean, who have a lot of domestic debt, they find themselves in trouble. Because the exchange rate, instead of requiring 400 naira to get $1, you now need 1,500 naira, 1,700 naira to get $1. So if you have a debt in dollar, you are in trouble. That's why we can see some companies are closing down and moving away from the country. Now, there's also a decline in sales. Because of the disruption caused, prices has gone up. People cannot afford goods and services. So there's less purchasing by people. This reduces the sales by the traders we see in the market. Their sales goes down, some of them, their margin goes down. Transporters have responded by increasing prices, putting more pain on everybody. Then those who have debt to collect, it becomes difficult to collect debt. People don't have cash to pay your debt, the debt they owe you. Then there is increased bankruptcies. Somehow there will be job losses. Because when companies close down, it affects people. They have to shut down, close down the company, send home their staffs. Then there's the tightening of credit. Everybody's afraid of borrowing money to others. So those are some of the elements of economic disruption that will affect people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's a whole lot. Given the situation that the scenarios that you've painted, that's for me, it's a bit disheartening. But what are the ways forward? And that's why we are here today to talk about how we can manage or navigate through this situation. Now, the next question is for Mrs. Oke and also for you, sir. But we would like Mrs. Oke to actually talk about this first, and then you can now contribute to what she has said. Now, what sustainable processes or practices can individuals adopt to manage their finances better in this situation that Mr. Fagbero has given us or has explained to us? And please, can you give practical examples that you probably have used or you've learned? Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are indeed in difficult times, and we are created, as we all know, humans are created to be survivors. So we must all learn to survive. And I think we have been doing that, and we have been doing well, because it's a good thing to be able to see us, showing up at work, doing our work, continuing to contribute to the research for development and partnerships activities of the Institute. So it's wonderful. But then how have we been able to navigate and then to stay afloat in the midst of these uncertainties that we have found ourselves since the past a year or so? You are right. I could share my experiences. One thing is, number one, to be proactive, that is, prepare for change. So it's very important to be able to prepare and anticipate that something may happen. So in terms of, because we are now looking at financial survival, because what has hit the economy has hit the individuals and affected our financial well-being. Now, one way to prepare for this is, okay, have what I will call an emergency fund. So it's good to have a culture of saving for emergencies. One thing we had pushed over the years, especially from the People and Culture Unit, is for our colleagues to embark on what we call voluntary pension contribution. A voluntary contribution to the retirement savings account enables you to withdraw from that savings after 2 years. And so if you have any need, this is something you can fall back on. In the same manner, the IITA Cooperative Society is also a good and a good tool for us in IITA. And so we want to actually appreciate the management of the Institute for allowing the cooperative to thrive, because without the support of the management, we can do very little. So the cooperative enables you to save, because usually when funds come into your hand, before you know it, you spend. You don't spend it for yourself. You spend on other people, because there are many people out there, family members, friends, neighbors, who are out of job. We even have something coming in. It's not enough, right? But you have people who are unemployed, who lost their jobs, whose businesses are scattered, and so their regular income is almost nil. So you help other people. So, going the cooperative way, where you have funds already deducted at source, and so you only have your take home coming into your bank account. So you already, you have constrained yourself or limited yourself to your disposable income. And that helps a way. And then you can now plan. So one of the things that also helps is to have a personal budget. Well, some of us maybe may be involved in departmental budgeting or project budgeting, but it's good to also learn to have a budget, know what you spend in a month, and then be able to now, from there, with the skills in financial management, you are able to now determine, okay, how do I reduce my operating budget so that your operating expenses are kept within, your income. It's important to note not to plan on other people. You may see somebody drawing up a budget, and the budget is actually dependent on, sources from other people. It's not the way to go, especially if we are talking to ourselves as, employees of IITA, where we are fortunate to almost, I can say 110%, we can, be sure that on a particular date or within certain period in a month, something will drop into your account. So you can be sure of what to expect. And so it's good to be able to plan. So these are some of the ways that, what I have done personally. And if I can also mention, especially since we are talking, among our colleagues are those who may be retiring soon, maybe in a year, in 2 years, or even in a few months. One thing that can be done is, try and, pump in as much as you can into your retirement savings account, and actually bring to the minimum what you think you can survive on when you retire. That is, when you are close to retirement, try and reduce your take home, to what you have, checked to be your income in retirement. And that helps to prepare, us for retirement. So downturns could happen. We have been in it for months now. We have been surviving. It's stretching many people we know. But there are ways. It's good to devise coping strategy, coping mechanism on how to survive and how to remain vibrant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your response has actually been very wholesome. Emergency funds, cultivating a saving culture, have a personal budget. First, you have to prepare for the unexpected, then you plan so that you have all of these coping measures in place when the unforeseen happens. Mr. Fagbere, what do you have to say about this sustainable practices that we can adopt to manage our finances better?
Let me start by saying that we all have to recognize that bad times don't last forever. Bad times come and they go. So my very first suggestion would be that we should try and remain positive. Positive, believing that things will change for the better. So once you keep that positive mind, it eventually affects our mental. The way you think about things, you'll be able to think better, think positively about the reality that we face. Now, next, I will say you should get financial education. This is about time must be good for something. Get financial education. All of us need to go and get financial education. Go and learn about money. How do you manage money? How do you handle money? How do you invest money? You all need to go and get those knowledge. They are going to help us in these difficult times. Get the knowledge. So some of us have money that are sitting down in our current account, in our savings account. There are things you can do with that money that can give you better interest. Recently, the federal government came up with treasury bills offering 23% interest. Your savings account cannot give you that. So there are little things you can do with our money. So it will come from getting financial education. Then we have to learn to live below our means. Don't finish spending all your salary. I tell people that if you are earning 10,000 naira and you cannot save 100 naira out of the 10,000 every month, if you want 1 million, you will not be able to save 100,000. So it's a culture that we have to learn. Try to, the saving culture, like Mrs. Oke mentioned, you have to learn to save, no matter how little. Put something aside every month. The voluntary pension she mentioned is a very good example. If you are not a good investor, put your money, your best bet is to put your money in voluntary contribution. You earn more, you earn something that is tangible. For me, rather than keeping the money, you are trying to manage the money yourself. Now, another one is we need to diversify our income sources. We all do 9 to 5, 7:30 to 4:30, let me say. We do it. But there are other things you can do in your closing time. I was also speaking with one of our staff here. So when you close at 4:30, the person closes regularly 4:30 must go home. So when you close at 4:30, what do? You say, when I go, my friend has a shop, I go and stay in his shop until 10, and then I go home. Your friend is busy in his shop selling things. You are just going there to hang around with him. Not making use of the good time you have. You too can find something that you can sell or you can do within those hours. You are wasting at your friend's shop. Those are little things we need to look at. How do we manage our time? When we get home, our weekends, how do we do it? What do you do with them? Start thinking of what else you can do to diversify your income so that some little money doesn't have to be big. Something small comes in, even if it's gardening in your compound, go and tend to some vegetables in your compound. That will help you in reducing your cost. Another one is we need to track our expenses. Most of us spend every day, every week. You just say, salary has finished. Write it down. Write down how much you are spending your money. Then at intervals, look at them. Analyze this spending. What is taking the most of my money? Try to know them. Then start thinking, what can I do about this thing that is taking my money? Then another one, avoid impulsive purchases. Don't just buy because you have to buy. Oh, I went to a shop. Oh, I like this thing. Just buy. Don't just buy. Those are things that are costly. A lot of times when we do impulsive purchases, you keep them, buy them, take them to your house. In 2-3 days, the first 3 days, you are excited with what you have bought. In another week's time, that item is lying idle in one corner of your house. Useless. So why must we do impulsive buying? Whatever you're not going to need continuously in these difficult times, whatever you're not going to need continuously, don't buy. Then grow your own food. I mentioned that one. See other things. Eat at home. It's cheaper cooking at home than going outside to go and eat. Another one is do bulk buying, bulk purchases. If you cannot afford a bag of rice, find a friend who also needs a bag of rice. If you feel like eating goat meat, find a friend who needs goat meat. Buy together, share. It's better than going to buy your own piece, a little piece here, a little piece there. So we have to learn those little habits that will help us save money in this difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing some of these practical ways that we can adopt to manage our finances. 3 things for me: eat at home, grow your food. More than 3 actually, but these are the ones that resonate with me. Impulsive buying, try to stop that. And then get financial education. You manage your money, you invest your money, you handle your money well, and track these activities as he has mentioned. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Mrs. Okay. Now, this question I'm going to ask, I'm directing it at the whole and the 4 of you. Some of us are here to learn. And so I would like to know, are there government programs or resources that individuals can leverage to overcome these economic challenges? Can you share some of the ones that you know that we can learn from and, adopt as we move forward? I'll start with Dr. Pelemo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Timmy. I appreciate this. I think what I would have also loved to mention, I think Mr. Fangbero has rightly mentioned this, which centers around the treasury bill that we can assess is one of those things the government is doing to ensure that we have our funds well managed appreciatively. But then moving away a little bit from that, I think the question largely to me is what can we do as individuals in ensuring, because you look out there is not much of programs that one can actually key into. For example, except you are interested in approaching the government banks, the Bank of Agri, Bank of Industry, to assess loans. And of course, we know what the loan and the interest rates are saying currently, which might not encourage a lot to go into this. Yeah, but again, we have a couple of NGOs that are conducting a kind of capacity building for farmers, training, doing outreach that we can leverage on aside what the government is doing. Of very recent, of course, the government of Oyo State, for example, rolled out an advert asking people who are interested in agriculture to indicate their interest such that they are able to get portions of land allotted to them in our farm settlement, such that they are able to do farming. But then as staffs of this institute or people who has primary assignments elsewhere, we candidly advise that you don't often do a lot of or some of these businesses by proxy, but of course, where we can manage our time effectively well, I think we can go a long way in ensuring that this is done. But what I would have loved to quickly share is managing our personal funds is very beautiful, saving and then not going on to buy impulsively. All of these very wonderful suggestions that came from Mrs. Okay and Mr. Fabian are very excellent ones. I would just have us to look at it, adding to those great points that have been made this morning. What is our GDP saying? Yeah, if we have a GDP that has nosedived between, say, 2014 to date by almost 300% from GDP of over 3,000 USD to less than 800 USD today. So what are we saying? We have an economy that is largely a consumption economy. That when you look at all the things we use, all the things we put on our technologies, they are practically all imported. Now we ask ourselves the question of how can we help ourselves to grow out of being a consumption economy to a developing to an emerging industry. And this has to do with one of those questions that were raised, where you are unable to provide your technology, you are unable to produce your own wares, and practically we have to import everything. Then we have to at least begin to look at growing our own food, like it was mentioned this morning. So as much as we all contribute our own quota to growing the economy, growing our own food, depending less on imported product, then we'll be on the way out. What is happening currently on the national scale is largely because of the national issues that we have, and it's not limited to Nigeria only. But of course, this is what is telling on every individual, and we are just devising, looking at means by which we can get out of this. But obviously, just like Mr. Fabio rightly mentioned, it's not going to last forever. How long we are going to stay on it is how much we become realistic about the situations we are going through and how much of effort you and I are ready to make to grow our economy using our own influence, as it were. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Philimo. Mr. Christopher, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to government programs, as to what government is doing concerning this, I don't think it's something we should be looking towards, because you agree with me that at the point in time, it looks like the government itself is in a very tight spot as to what to do to bring the citizens out of this economic downturn. So it goes beyond, yes, it goes beyond what the government can do. The question we'll be asking is, what can I do to bring myself out of this? The speakers have rightly mentioned what avoid wastages, buy in bulk, grow your own food, and all of those things. Although if you ask now, of course, there are official, if you check government website, you see that there is a NATEP. I think there's a NATEP, this National Youth Talent Export Program that government is putting in place. They also mention about the 75,000 to be given to poor individuals. So government may look at all of this as a way out. But then when you look at the impact that this have on the ordinary citizens, it did not really go as far. So that is why we cannot just fold our hands and be thinking, oh, this is the program the government has put in place that people can leverage upon. So everyone must take this personal responsibility. At the end of the year, you realize it is a personal responsibility you must take upon yourself to ensure that the economic downturn, you make the best out of it. Like one of the speakers rightly mentioned, leverage on your skills, invest in education. This is a good time to do that. Invest in education. There are so many financial education out there that one can leverage upon. IT skills. Most of these things, you don't need to even go to school to even learn them. You can go to YouTube, acquire as many knowledge as you can, which is what is trending currently at the moment, where IT skills, web designs, programming languages, and so on. That when you lay your hands on these skills that you improve yourself, and then you better position yourself for the opportunities out there. Although there may be economic downturn, but I can tell you for certain, there are people out there who are making the best out of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher. Mrs. Oke, what would you say about the resources and programs individuals can leverage to overcome these challenges, ma'am? Please unmute, ma'am. Okay. You're muted. You're muted, ma. We still can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, you've been unmuted now, ma'am.
I had to switch from my laptop to the desktop because it was telling me that the connection was poor and I didn't want to be disconnected. Sorry about the break.
It's
Yeah.
all right, ma'am.
Okay,
Please
good.
go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Getting to what to do and how to avail ourselves of the opportunities that are available. I agree with my colleagues who spoke earlier. We don't really have to wait for the government. The government is doing a lot, introducing a number of palliative support to the SMEs, the small and medium scale enterprises. They are doing that even for individuals. There are funds, but then we know that ITA people will not even be eligible for that. Now, one thing that I want to mention is, I think Mr. Fagbonro and Dr. Pelemo mentioned this, is grow your food. In I think the one, how would I put it, one activity that the Constitution of Nigeria allows employees to embark on is farming. That is, as private practice, something you can do in addition to your regular full-time employment, and you will not fall into any error or be blamed of any conflict of interest. Is farming. So you can do things to grow your food and feed your family. We know our people we have this saying that once hunger is taken out of the equation, there is nothing like poverty. So if we are able to feed our families, then we are safe. So it's good to really take this thing into our hands and say, okay, what can I do? I love the point on investing in our personal development, even within the employment space, in the workplace. It's good to be sensitive to, okay, where is the organization going? Am I still going to be able to remain relevant? What new skills do I need to acquire so that I can remain relevant in the scheme of things? So that by the time that, because when we talk about the downturn, it's not just affecting individuals, it's also affecting employers, and they are all looking for ways of survival. And one thing is, at the end of the day, they want to now right size. That is, right sizing, is a nice way to put it, not just saying to downsize. Now, if we have retooled ourselves, we have upscaled, if I can use that term, then we'll be ready. So if you know that, you have been doing, you are a secretary, or you know it's a shorthand and this and that, like in the past, then go ahead, acquire digital skills so that at the end of the day, you are relevant. Even if you are in any other sphere, whatever you do, whether you are in the people and culture, in HR, you are in finance, you need these digital skills. We all need that. So we need to keep improving ourselves in our day-to-day, and the opportunities are there. So I just want to learn this point. Let us see this downturn as opportunity to advance. So instead of mourning, what can I do? This is down, that is down, this is not working, that's not working. Go ahead and look at, see it as opportunities to advance, whether in your career or even in your life. And I think Mr. Fakonjo mentioned that point about being positive, having this positive mindset. So I will add to the personal resources that we need, and just summarize it in form of emotional intelligence. We all need to improve. It's something we can learn. Yes, some may be born with a few qualities, but it's something that everybody can learn. When we have high level of emotional intelligence, which we call EQ, then you can build your resilience. When you are resilient, when adversity comes, then you find that, yes, you can stand. Yes, you find your coping strategy. Yes, you can keep surviving, and then you move on. So that's the important thing, is to learn how to be resilient and then see the adversity or the adverse economic situation as opportunities, to even improve in life. And we see new things are happening. You hear stories of success and you wonder, oh, is this still possible in Nigeria? Oh, yes, it is possible. So this is the message of, hope, of, positive outlook of what we can do individually instead of maybe leaving everything in the hands of leaders, whether in the workplace or in government. Yes, what can I do? What can I contribute to survive? Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That's wholesome. Mr. Fagbero, do you have anything to say about this?
I think a lot has been said already.
Yes.
That, and like Mrs. Okesa saying that, we need to develop our own resilience. Nigeria is moving into a fully capitalist societal mode based on what this government has done in the last 1.5 to 2 years, based on 2 years. A lot of factors have changed. The era of arbitrage to make money is going. Let me say it's going, not yet gone. Arbitrage, I mean, you just, because you have connection, you can get something from one market and take it to another market and make a huge margin. Imagine somebody driving a tanker just because he drove the tanker from Nigeria to Niger to Benin to Cameroon. He makes 57 million on the tanker. No, sorry, he made 17 million on one tanker. Just driving a tanker across the border. Your profit alone is 17 million naira. That era is gone. We have to prepare for it. In terms of what government is doing for the people, government is trying a lot, but unfortunately for most of us in the southern region, nature has disadvantaged us. Most of the crops we grow in southern Nigeria, most of the items we need in southern Nigeria are perishable. Government is still pumping money into agric, but it's going to grains, your beans, your rice, wheat, sorghum. That's where money is going. If you watch your TV every day at night, the national TV or Channels TV, you see them showing some of this in collaboration with governors in the north to grow grains. These are crops that can last. Most of our way in the south, your yam, your potato, they are perishable. So it's difficult for us, and those of us doing 9 to 5, we are too preoccupied with our job to have time to set up some SME that can make money for us. So we have to individually look at ourselves and ask questions. Why? What can I do differently? We have to resort to ourselves. In the capitalist system, you take care of yourself. You are the one that can take care of your future. So that's what we all have to start doing. Start thinking, what can I do differently? How can I make money in this economy? A crisis economy over challenges, over potentials. We have to all be on the lookout and pick those potentials. We have to get ourselves ready to be able to pick those potentials that we can use to make money when the economy starts picking up, which is obvious, it's going to start very soon. So we must be ready. So in terms of waiting for government, we cannot wait for government. Government is trying to reduce expenditure by focusing on strategic areas that will have effect on everybody. In the past administration, we had a lot of money was pumped into people's hands. That money is what has fueled the inflation that we are experiencing today. It's part of what the problem of the inflation we have today. Too much money in circulation, then the fuel price adjustments, the exchange rate, the three of them have combined to put us in pain. So in terms of direct cash to people, that may be reduced. Rather, the government will want to put money into utilities, to services, into the health sector, into the education sector. So by trying to find our own way of surviving in the economy, what business we can do. I read a book sometimes ago. What it says is that those you see who are innovators in the economy, they did not come with just one idea or 2 ideas or 5 ideas. They come up with 100 ideas. So out of these 100 ideas, in the course of testing them, they will find this one is better than the others. So they will not stick to the one that is better, and that's the one we all get to know. The other ones that have failed, they drop by the side and nobody knows how hears about them. So that's what we have to start doing now. Throw up ideas, try them out, and see how we can make money in the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm learning a whole lot from this conversation. And if you're joining us, you're watching Hello IITA on IITA TV. And today we are discussing how we can navigate through the economic downturns that Nigeria is presently facing. And of course, it's a global thing. I know that because I've had conversations with some of my friends that stay outside of Nigeria, and it's not only a thing that is affecting Nigeria, it's a global thing. But right now, today on this program, we're talking about how we can find our way out of the situation by increasing our source of income, building resilience, finding a way to survive. And one of the key things that I've learned in the last couple of minutes is planning, preparing, and getting financial education. That's very key. That would help us to learn how to manage our money, how to invest, and how to handle it without having to do impulsive buyings at all times. The next question will be going to Mr. Christopher. Now, you mentioned earlier about digital skills, IT skills that people can learn. What other skills are currently in demand that individuals can learn from to enhance their employability in Nigeria's evolving job market?
Thank you very much for this question. Yes, like I rightly mentioned earlier on, there has been a lot of emergent area, especially in the social, in the IT space currently. People have been leveraging on this thing and making a whole lot of money out of it. You see, I already mentioned that the IT skills, such as the web designing, programming languages, data analytics, these are available out there. There are bodies or institutions or agencies that provide this service. You can earn certification with it, and such can help you to leverage on your skills and how you can make the best out of the economy. Other ones also is the social media management. There are people who have used this social media as they live on it. In other words, they make a whole lot of money out of this. Content creation. You see, there is also online tutoring. Most of these things are available because of the statistic that shows that over 55% of Nigeria have access to internet. So you can use that internet space to leverage on your skills and then use it to optimize the current economic downturn. And there are also consultation that's being done online. You see, these are another skills again. You can be a professional in your field because right now people no longer think about going to a physical consultation. You can do consultation online. There are a whole lot of them, like even those who are seeking for school abroad. There are people who you have to consult online and they'll give you all those necessary information. And you do that consultation for a fee. So these are some of the skills that we can learn. If you see over the last 5 years, most of the big organizations, like I was looking at the top 5 for top 10 richest men in the world, you begin to see where they have been investing their resources on is on technology. You see, it's on technology. And that's to show you that this is area that is emerging that people need to take advantage of. So the earlier people begin to see this as opportunity that they can take advantage of in Nigeria, the better than to hold on to the old practice, which have not been really yielding fruit, because things have changed ever since the emergence of COVID. Business have changed. The way it is being run, it has changed currently. So it's now on every Nigerian to see, or on us also in IIT, to see areas where we can take advantage of this emerging trend. So like I mentioned earlier on, the IT skills, web designing, programming language. I also mentioned online tutoring. You have that skills, why not? That's the way you can get this done. And also social media. Those who are social media. I saw an advert recently, an organization, they want to employ somebody who can help them to manage a social media page. Imagine that. Who would have thought such would be an opportunity in the last 10 years ago? But now this is what is really happening today. So that's my point on this question you asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher. Please, if you're on mute, please kindly mute your microphones if you're not a member of the panelists. Okay, so Mr. Dr. Pelemo, rather, can you please share with us some of the key skills that you feel are currently in demand that our listeners can leverage to enhance their employability in Nigeria's evolving markets?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. There are a few things I really will quickly want to mention. Just like it's been said, one practice that we can venture into without restriction is farming. Because there is a limit to what you can practice where you are still in active service, depending on what the policy of your employer indicates or the institute that got you engaged. But then acquiring skill has to do with one key thing I want to also mention here is how soon are we, or may I put it this way, what's our retirement plans like? If you plan to retire early, then there are skills that you must acquire. But if you plan to work late into your 65, 70, and some even 75, there are some skills that I would say you don't have to venture to acquire because it's very expedient that you know what you want to do with your life beyond being engaged in a public work, in a public service. Working in an institution like IIT, you ask yourself, from the day you came into the system, you must have asked yourself, how long do I intend to stay? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and I'm going to work for over a period of time to save this, acquire this skill, and then go on to have myself established. But a lot of the skill that we can actually acquire in the what we call the bubble or the digital economy has rightly been mentioned by Mr. Christopher. But for those of us in the real economy, to which I will admonish most of us to be interested in, because the real economy is that which actually grows the economy of a nation. It has to do with what you have to produce. Okay, so we can all be on the air, we can all have system digitalized, acquire a lot of AI skills going on, but those stuffs will not bring food to our tables. Yeah, it could bring earnings the way of individuals. All right, letting out your time to say, oh, between this period and this period, I'm going to, because most of the challenge we also have as individuals or as employees, we often believe that we can get out there anytime to go and practice anything. No. Are you interested in poultry farming? Are you interested in crop farming? Are you interested in processing? It's very important that you leave out your time. Good enough for us, we have a couple of days ongoing here at IIT. Let it not be that you just want to visit the Gary processing factory just to buy Gary for consumption. Ask questions. Okay, how is processing done? Okay, visit the maize program, visit the yam program, visit the cassava program, ask a lot of questions. How is maize grown? I'm interested in doing this. How is yam grown? I'm interested in doing this. Just this last week, we still floated a training with the Capacity Development Office for seed entrepreneurs. And we do this almost every year. And I'm not so sure if we've had any staff of the Institute come to register to say, oh, I want to learn to be a seed entrepreneur for whichever crop, such that when I retire, I can have this to fall back on. So we have a few of our, sorry, I might have to mention this here, a few of our staffs who are already producing some cuttings of cassava, harvesting some suckers of plantain, and then harvesting some yam when they have excess from their production, and they go on to sell and make some more money. But the question would be, what do I need to acquire as skill, as knowledge to do this on a commercial scale? What form of innovation can I bring into marketing my farm produce such that I'm able to do it in a more different way from what obtains in the local or in the informal market? And so these are some of the things I really wish people can begin to spend their time to look into. All right, from production to processing to marketing of agri input, all of this, there are a whole lot of body of knowledge that we can tap from this mind called IITA that we are all seated on. All I will just admonish us is get out of your desk whenever you have the free time to do so, visit other units, ask questions, and learn a lot. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. That's
Can I
actually
just-
very in-depth. I would like to, we don't have much time anymore. So quickly, sir, I'll come back to you, Mr. Fagbemi, please. Quickly, sir, you've mentioned that people can adopt some of these technologies that we have at RITA. Can you explain to us how we can integrate these things that you've mentioned into our 9 to 5? Because you wake up in the morning by 7:30, max 8 a.m., you have to be at work by 4:30. Some even leave here after 4:30, hours after 4:30. How can we integrate this using innovation into our 9 to 5?
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll start from the rear.
Okay.
Rear in looking at the number of days we have per week. What do you do with your Sundays? Yes, you have to rest. What do you do with your Saturdays? All right. If you close at 4:30, from 4:30 to 5:30 to 6, what do you have to do? Can you get 1 or 2 hands employed to monitor your operations? And then you keep a tab on such a person every day to ensure that the person, let's be frank here, most of our colleagues that left Nigeria, like you mentioned, one that you know, to Europe, do you think they do one job? All right. They don't do one job. They do 2, 3 jobs. We have to cut down on the many owambes. We have to cut down on some of our religious engagements, if not that much compulsory, and ensure that we maximize our time. I think we joke a lot with time on this part of the world. And again, what do we do with our leave? It's okay. It's so good. Mrs. Okay is here. She can tell you the number of days you are entitled to in a year. So what do you do with those number of days? Some of us have as much as 30 days. And we analyze this. I will say, if only you can secure the permission of your supervisor to say, oh, my 22 working days in a year, I want to spread it over a period of year. I'm not going to take my leave. For me, I don't appreciate a staff going on leave for a lengthy period, personally. Especially when such a staff is delivering and is very, very important to our services. All right, we'll say it's okay. Instead of you having a whole 1 month annual leave, can you split it? Can you have a week in every quarter? Or can you have every Friday or every Thursday? And then you can use such days in addition to the Monday and Saturday to actually grow your business. We can play around the number of days we really have. It's just all about getting our self-discipline and having this maximized. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Mrs. Oke, he mentioned your name. Well, I was coming to you eventually, Ma. So can you tell us, how can we integrate these suggestions that you've all given us, these solutions that you've preferred for us or to us, into our 9 to 5 job schedule? With permission, Ma.
It's very interesting, and I think we have to be very, very careful what we say. Otherwise, the panelists say that we can do this, we can do that. Yeah, let me begin by saying that, yes, Dr. Pelema is right. People do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, in fact, especially where you can work remotely, you see some people, you don't know what they really combine. That is true, people do so many things. However, since how would I put it, where you are signed up with an employer, it's important to understand what policies, what regulations, what latitude do you have to do whatever you like. So in whichever way we try or we seek, to make ends meet, to improve our financial well-being and so on, it's important to be mindful of what ITA's policy says. And I will just draw attention to this one on conflict of interest. Whatever we may seek to do, we must be conscious of what our policy, our code of conduct says in avoiding any situation that may lead to a potential, or real or perceived, conflict of interest. So it's important in doing any other thing, not to be involved in anything that can be competing, whether financially, professionally, and so on. Yeah, Dr. Pelema, I'm happy that he was able to mention, okay, what do you do with your weekends? That's true, because the policy tells, oh, you do not do anything that conflicts. Don't use IETA's time for any other business. Don't do anything that is competing with IITA. Yeah. So now, even in doing that, I will still send a note of caution. We are on leave and so on. You know, when we are on leave, we are still IITA staff. When we are on leave, we are on leave, on paid leave, and we are still IITA staff. So we are mindful. We are very, conscious of what we do. And we have that at the back of our mind. Oh, what I'm doing or what I'm getting myself into, is it likely to result in does it, have anything that could smack, of conflict of interest? So we have to be very conscious of that. So I will just tell us, let's read the entire section 4.8 of the Code of Conduct. It tells us many things on our extramural activities, on outside employment, or even being, serving on the board of this or that. So we have, many things to be, mindful of. In fact, let me just mention something that I can read something to you now. There is a section here, paragraph 3 of section 484. It says staff will not be actively associated with the management of a business or hold financial interest in any business concern if it is possible to benefit from such association by reason of his or her official position with ITA. So now, some of the technologies that are available, for example, we want to be cautious, like if I'm getting into retirement and I begin to learn, and, avail myself of those technologies, with a view to launching into, real-time farming, processing, whatever, that's fine. But if you are in maybe in breeding or in something, and then you now try to engage in something, and then you find yourself doing this. I remember the MSA president mentioned something like some people are selling some cassava stem cuts and then using ITA. He wasn't sure whether they are ITA people or not ITA people. And then it was like maybe substandard in a way. And then some people are coming back, oh, we got this through some, ITA people and that kind of thing. So we want to be careful what we do while we are still, full-time staff members of ITA. You get what I mean? So even in getting involved in some of these other activities, you don't want to get burnt out, and then, you are not able to even contribute and be effective in your regular day-to-day. So it's a bit, tricky and a bit dicey when, you are, fully engaged, and then you also want to try and do something else to add more income, to yourself, which, we all could, do with anyway. So it's a bit dicey. So it's just important to, if there's anything, when you're unsure, we always say that when you're unsure, it's good to ask, oh, I want to embark in this. Oh, I have this thing that I've been doing. Does it constitute any conflict of interest? Is there any potential conflict of interest? So that, people are guided. So we just, just to maybe mention this so that it doesn't go, oh, yes, we are told that we can do this, we can do that. So in whatever activity we're involved in, let's, be mindful of not letting ourselves into any potential real or perceived conflict of interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. So we've all heard that while we're trying to manage the situation, the economic downturn situation, and looking for other sources of income, we should ensure that there's no conflict of interest between our 9 to 5 and our other sources of income. It's very critical for balance. Now, Mr. Dr. Pelemo, sorry, I keep calling you Mr. Dr. Pelemo. For those of us that have access to land, those of us that want to farm, I'm also directing this question to Mr. Fagbenro too, but I would want Dr. Pelemo to talk about this first. What steps can we take to engage in, urban or rural agriculture to improve food security and generate income?
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me appreciate Mrs. Oke first for coming on that, particularly the conflict of interest and the policy document guiding our engagement. I think we may have to also come back to this in a way, looking deep into what the policy implies and what it permits individual staffs to do. Like I earlier mentioned, my focus had always been how long do we have, what those skills do we acquire, when are you exiting the system to start your enterprise? Does that mean that we will not be loyal? We are outrightly, absolutely loyal to the system, and we'll do every bit to make sure that we meet our expectations as far as we are concerned. But like I said, now there is a gap which I will also want her to here clarify. Is more or less like we're putting a lot on her desk. When you have land, one plot of land, you can grow your vegetable, you can you can do sack farming for yam, for example, in your house. Why I was referring to the conflict of interest document is to find out, are we allowed only to grow vegetables and food for our personal consumption? Or when you have in excess, are you permitted to sell? I'm aware there are some institutional organizations that do not allow you to get involved or get engaged in activities that will bring your way additional incomes, especially when it requires your physical presence, which is often the reason why we say, oh, you can put your money to work for you. You deposit your money, you buy treasury bill, you put your money in fixed deposit, and those ones are not having any conflict with your working time for the institution that brought you on board. Or, of course, where you have land that is more than 1 acre or 2 acre of land, there are things you can do, from gardening on one plot, all right, doing vegetables, to doing to growing maize or growing yam, those crops that can bring you yield in good time. Let me not use income in this case, but then where you also have to put in your money into an enterprise. I encourage so much, if you will have to do anything, even after retirement, I admonish people that comes here for training that they do not do a sole business, I will call it. We encourage so much of partnership, because most businesses in Nigeria died because individuals run their businesses, or at the best run it as family business, and once you are passed, the business died naturally. So we are encouraging farmers coming together to do cooperative farming. All right, you want to go into processing, are there people that you can give your money to, instead of keeping the money in your account, that they can go work with that money? Oh, you don't have time to maximize. If you have one plot of land and the policy permits you to grow your own food to eat, fine. Where you are beginning to have 1 acre, 2 acre, 4, 5 hectares of land, can you lease such land out, all right, and get people to do farming on it, and you collect rent on the land, or they do a portion for your domestic consumption, or possible for sale, since the law permits us in a way to engage in farming. But that we are permitted to do farming is also a function of what amount. If it's going to encroach into your working time, of your official working time, automatically the conflict of interest will set in, simply meaning that you have interest in some other businesses that can affect your delivery here at IITA. And that some of these things we really need to expatiate them, so that each and every one of us knows our limit, even when we talk about farming, home gardening, and the likes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think I will come to you later for consultancy, like Mr. Christopher mentioned earlier. Of course, I don't have money to pay you, sir. Mr. Fagbere, what do you have to say about this, sir?
I think Dr. Kweliwan has actually said a lot about this thing. Let me start with the conflict of interest policy. I think we have to look at the intention of that policy. The intention of the policy is to ensure that we do not come in, the work we do for ITA, it doesn't come into conflict with something else. Whatever business you are doing, you're not taking advantage of your position in ITA to make money. That's what the policy wants us to avoid. Don't take advantage of your position and don't do things that will affect the name of ITA, the things that ITA do, things that will affect the reputation of ITA because of your action. Those are things I think the policy wants us to avoid. Now, as to what we can do for ourselves. Yesterday, I had fresh corn from just a farmer who planted it within his house. Not a farmer, let me not say a farmer, from a man who planted corn within his house. Also, yesterday, I spoke with a professor friend. He was doing his morning work and he stopped me. I was ahead of him. And he told me that his cassava is ready for harvest. There's a vacant plot of land beside his house. Rodents have been there, disturbing him, coming from that compound beside his house, from the return into his own compound. So he decided to clear the place. But last year, he told me to buy cassava cuttings for him. I bought from IT, I gave it to him. He's a professor, for God's sake, a professor. He planted it in that compound. He harvested last year and gave me a big sack of gari. He said this year his cassava is ready again for harvesting. It's still from the stem that he bought last year. So that's just an example of what we can do. All those small parcels of land that are lying all over the place. If you can talk to the owner, you can take advantage of them. Plant one or two things there, make your own, at least you get for your family. So that's one of the things we can do for ourselves. You can plant vegetable within your compound. It's so easy. In the evening when you close, those times you used to enjoy, to have fun, to go and watch football, you can stay in your house, wet those things. They don't take, the man I said planted maize in his compound. This is dry season, for God's sake. You see, I had fresh corn. He gave me some. I had to boil them yesterday at night. So we can all do that. Put some plants in your compound, wet them in the evening. When you get home, you get some things. In my compound, if you come, you will see oregano, you see my leaves, efirin, ewuro, they're all there in my compound. That even reminds me, yesterday, one of the tatashe that I planted, it's a fruiting. I saw a red fruit there yesterday night. So we can do things for ourselves within our little space. So those are basically what would be my own contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I heard you because it froze at a point. I heard you said something about fresh corn earlier.
Yeah, I visited somebody in the morning yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he gave me fresh corn, fresh.
Because when are you visiting the person again?
They're still going. So you want me to go? I go there maybe on weekends.
So I will come and see you, sir. We need to eat fresh corn in December.
Using water to wet the corn. So I told him that sorry. What I saw in this company is what I see on ITA field in dry season. This is dry season, for God's sake. Why was supposed to have fresh corn? Still looking green. Because it gives them water. That's irrigation, for God's sake. It's irrigation.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We're running out of time. But this is for everyone. This question I'm going to ask is for everyone now. Considering the various issues and discussions on mental health, because the truth is, whatever the situation is right now, it's affecting a lot of people's mental health. And what measures can be taken to prevent breakdowns in the face of the financial situation in the country? I know some of us listen to music, some of us pray, some of us meditate. So what are the measures that you think some of us can use to, navigate this situation?
Let me go first on this. And before that, I just want to quickly add to the last comments made by my fellow guest speakers. You see, Nigeria as a nation, if you check the Global Food Security Index, it had ranked Nigeria 110 out of 124 nations. That is to have 28.8 points. That's to tell you that food security in Nigeria is at emergency level. Yes, I agree with the fact that we should grow our food, and unless a conscious effort is being made towards that, the decline will just continue to happen over the years. Now, coming back to this question you asked, yes, to balance this mental health thing, that is why, personally, I feel having someone to use your leave to be carrying out other kind of activities, well, it's profitable sometimes, but then you must have this work-life balance. You see, if you put yourself to work all the time, you get too much stressed. Yes, you want to make money, you want to bring yourself out of the economic downtown, but then you must be able to take care of yourself. So one thing I usually encourage people to do is hit the gym. I know not much people like doing this, but it's it's one psychological way of keeping yourself balanced. You hit the gym, you go out there, do a lot of things. Aerobics is there. IT even have a gym facility, which sometimes you go there, you scarcely find a staff in that place. Mostly they are the casual guys that you see in that place. You see, there are people who would even know that we will have something called a gym in that area. So you hit a gym, it helps you to balance your mental health. Another thing I will say again is to have enough rest. That is why you have your leave there. You have time to rest. Depending on your office you work, but then if you don't give yourself that enough rest, the essence of that rest is so that you can come back, you recoup those energy, and it also help you to think properly. But then when you don't have that rest and then you stress yourself too much, you begin to diminish mentally. It begins to affect you, the way you think, what you can innovate per time, how you can be creative, and all of those things. They play a part. And another thing I'll just make sure I can allow the others to speak is you need to eat well. Take yourself out. Take yourself out, eat well, have a good balance over what you drink and what you eat. So these are some of the things that can help build that mental, lessen the stress, and to keep your mentality in shape. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christopher. Okay, Mrs. Oke, please go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to really talk about this because especially when we are looking at the workplace, we all know that much of our active hours are spent in the workplace, Monday through Friday. And so it's important to talk about well-being. And when we talk about well-being, it's a state of physical, social, and mental, health. So when we are healthy and even financial, so it includes financial. So there's financial well-being, there's mental well-being, there's physical well-being, and they are all interconnected. So economic downturns can actually affect, it can affect someone's mental health status. And we know that this situation affects people, the impact, on individuals at various levels and different reactions and responses to the situation. But in the workplace, there are things that we can do. And some of these, I'm happy to know that it's happening in ITA, the efforts to make ITA safe and welcoming to the staff members. And we remember that recently, earlier this year in April, there was a relaunching, I would call it a relaunching of the campaign against harassment and discrimination in the workplace. The last time we had an institute-wide campaign like that was in 2015, although subsequently we have been doing such with teams, even within the country and outside the country, and also during new hire orientation. So it's good to make the environment safe for everyone so that people don't have to add to the challenges of stretching their income. They don't have to add the challenge of the supervisor staff member relationship where you have friction, where you have tension. It doesn't have to be added. These are things that can affect the mental well-being of the staff member. So making the environment safe and also doing things that promote employee engagement so that every morning when people wake up, they look forward to coming to the office. Not that they wake up and then the palpitations in the heart begin and then they just, oh, I'm going to this place. And we don't want that to happen in IT. So these are things that we can do to make people feel safe, feel that, oh yes, I belong to this institution. I'm excited about working in this place. And I also want to say that, please, I think Mr. Christopher alluded to that, taking care of ourselves. I was talking with Dr. Adeleke earlier this morning, and he was telling me something exciting. I found really exciting that they're now talking about lifestyle medicine. Everything is not about medication, about surgery. So there are things that, okay, we really have to take this thing in our own hands, and I have to contribute to my well-being. So lifestyle medicine, positive orientation, which Mr. Fagbero alluded to earlier, a positive mindset, being optimistic. Of course, I was talking with someone last week and said, oh, he's a realist. So, okay, we can talk about realistic optimism, but it's good to be optimistic, to have a positive mindset. And I've mentioned being resilient earlier on. And then nowadays, they are telling us to even practice mindful breathing. The way we breathe can distress us, it can help us. So we need to be okay, because in fact, it's important for us in people and culture for all our staff members to be in good shape and to be in good form, physically, mentally, socially, so that they can continue to give their best to IITA, and IITA can continue to strive and remain strong. So these are a few points that I want to add. And of course, we always welcome ideas from the staff members on what people and culture can do, better to make the institute, better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. On that note, I would want to say that those of us that have questions among our viewers or our audience can please send in your questions in the chat box so we can, and let us know who you're directing the question to so we can share it with our panelists. Mr. Fagbero, what do you have to say about how people can manage their mental health?
Yeah, I still go back to what Mrs. Okay just said last about staying positive. That's the first one for me. Then sometimes ago, I remember reading an article that talks about a professor who, when he came into his classroom, divided his students into two groups, gave them $500. Now, the people in the first group, they should go and spend the money on themselves. The second group, he told them to go and find somebody who's really needy and give the money to. A week after, I now called them and say, now, how do you feel spending that money I gave you? It was found out that those people that spent the money they had on other people, they were happier than those who spend the money on themselves. That sends a message. Try and help. Look around you. There are people who are really needy. Give them. It makes you happy. That happiness comes to you yourself. They are the one you are making happy, but you feel happy. Even look at the smile in their face. Look at the look of their face. If it makes you happy, that picture stays with you. You are happy that you help somebody. So we should do that. Then we should try and keep in touch with our family members. Maintain that family touch. Look for them. Look out for them. Call them once in a while. Please don't delay. At least once in make sure a weekly you get in touch with the family, the near one, the distance one. Keep in touch. The family group has always been of help in managing mental health in Africa. We should keep it. It's gradually, the family unit is gradually being broken in Africa, but we have to bring it back. But you're in Nigeria. You still have to keep in touch. That will help a lot. The government on its own, there are policies on the side of government. They came up with, there's a mental health law in Nigeria, actually, and nobody knows about. There's a policy on mental health. Nobody reads them. They are just there. So we can, on our own, start doing things that we can do for our immediate neighbors. What can you do with them? How do you relate with them? If you have been fighting with your neighbor, go and reconcile. Just try and keep in touch. Watch out for them. They wash their bag. They wash your bag. Those are things that will help us in keeping happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Palemo.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm very grateful. I also learned a lot from my colleagues this morning. It's so quite interesting being here. I will just again re-emphasize what Mr. Christopher started with. Let us eat well. Eating well means you are having a balanced diet. Eating well means you are having enough of veggies. Eating well means you are having enough of fruits and all that you need, because when you eat well, you will not have to eat the clinic. You don't have to visit the clinic. And when you take a good enough rest, you will not have to swallow those drugs. That is been said, but what I have to add to this is some of us get to this place as early as 7 in the morning, and some of us don't leave for whatever reason. I don't leave as up till maybe 5, 6, 7, depending on what you are running in your laboratory or the account you have to balance if you are in finance and the likes. And we even come to work. Sometimes we work throughout the week because we have some grants to cover. This we perfectly understand. But what this leaves us with is this: that we spend the bulk of our day, the bulk of our lives at a work environment simply means that we must be friendly, because by and large, the people you have to relate with on daily basis are the people you meet at the workplace. So having enemies for yourself does not help in any way. So in your unit, across units, make it a deliberate effort to be friendly with people, and that will make you so much healthy. And like it's been said, be positive, be positive, be positive, positive. Make sure that you are very much light with as many as you can. And of course, if you have it as a responsibility to strengthen the image of IITA, you have nothing absolutely to be afraid of, for as much as you contribute to the positive growth of the community where we all belong. For some of us, we'll say we are IIT because practically we've lived our life all here, our families here, and everyone around you is here. So it's very important that you have the understanding that you have the image of IITA, and like we always have it as a slogan when our former DG was here: you take care of IITA and that IITA will take care of you. So this is what is of utmost importance for us to remember. And we've emphasized this today. Remember first that IITA is an institution. All right, meaning that it's a whole community of learning to you and to me. So you have individuals to learn from, you have people that can mentor you career-wise or personally that you can reach out to. And these are some of the things you can really do to help your mental health. And please, when you are offended, because our population is over 2,000 currently, in your various units where you are, you have a lot of people with diverse orientation, philosophy of life, approaches. And when you come by such people, if for whatever reason your toe is being stepped on, don't be offended. And where you are offended, please be quick to speak out. Don't bottle up issues that can eat you deep. And when you want to react, you just throw the bomb and everywhere is scattered. No. Don't keep issues till the next day, and have issues sorted out. Even when you have issue with your superior in your office, look for a respectable manner to candidly table such and have it resolved amicably so that everybody can be fine. This is very, very important. Workplace relationship is very, very critical to your mental health. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pelema. Thank you so, so much. All your responses have actually been very direct and addressed critical issues here today. Now, we have 2 comments from our audience. The first person is Mrs. Helen Adeniji, and she says there is need to review our conflict of interest policy for us to promote staff involvement in our Greek research activities and value chain as a strategy for soft landing for its retirees, probably 5 years to the time. There's another person here who says, okay, Mr. Adorable says the work-life balance policy hardly works for some of us in many cases. It is not possible to go on leave, talk less of planning for other sources of income to lay on when retired. Okay, so I think that is meant for Mrs. Okay. Do you have anything to say about these 2 comments, ma'am?
Thank you very much. A good one from Mrs. Adeniji. Yeah, actually the the conflict of interest policy is one of the policies that's penciled for, the code of conduct entirely is under review. And I remember recently when we had an issue and we were looking at specifically this conflict of interest, that section of conflict of interest. And we realize that, yes, we need to be more explicit. You know, you have things defined in broad terms, and you do not realize the implications until something happens. And I remember a lawyer telling us that, oh, usually these things, oh, nobody bothers about them. Oh, somebody is doing farming or selling this or selling the surplus from the farm, or is doing consultancy from for one organization, and that you don't really know, bother about it until something happens. So when something happens, okay, when I say something happens, something that is, adverse, all right, maybe that impugns the reputation of the institute or something, and then now begin to now ask questions. Now, oh, okay, the policy says, oh, you are not supposed to do this and that kind of thing. Yes, the policy, of course, can look at this, and we are looking more into activities for retirement planning, and we can weave this into our policies. A good point to note. Thank you. Then on the second one, so Mr. Rabo has written from Kano, where some of us find ourselves in this, to the point that you find that the work, in fact, you and the work, you are just, woven up. And it made me, when I discovered these school of thought and some write-ups on what is now being championed in place of work-life balance, they are now talking of work-life integration, so that, you weave the work into your life. You don't try to have, here is work, here is life, and then you can barely really get the balance. It's so hard to get the balance, because as you are planning even to go on leave, you take your leave, and then you're on leave, and you have to be thinking about it, because some things are dependent, and you have to be responding to some emails or checking your email from time to time. That is not leave at all. We know that. So, but we are all called upon to try to do better, maybe in our planning, or maybe where we need additional staff complement, make the case. But see me talking here, it's even difficult for us in people and culture. I know over the years, when we had made submission to have additional staff complement, and then the budget of the institute has not been able to, to support it. So we must continue to devise, I've just said to Mr. Rabo, let's continue to devise ways of doing this, maybe some forward planning, some, just making every effort as far as practicable to ensure that we arrange the work, we are able to maybe delegate, we are able to maybe have the additional staff complement if possible to support operations, so that people can take time to rest. Our colleagues who spoke earlier have emphasized that we need to plan to rest. I remember Dr. Pelemo said that we need to really plan to rest. Christopher also mentioned that we really need to plan to, because if we are healthy, then we can work. If we are unhealthy, then we are losing. The institute is losing, the individual is losing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In the absence of further questions and comments, I'd like to bring this event to a close. It's been an interesting 1 hour plus on LOITA, during which we have dealt into sustainable and practical ways out of the economic downturn in the country with the IITA Management Staff Association. My name is Timileyo Sunday, and you're still watching IITA TV. I look forward to you joining us next time on this show. Good morning.